I know it's just after the holidays, and many of you have gotten your first 3D printers, and some of you have gotten more. But we need to have a serious talk about the Bambu A1, because in my opinion, with the findings that we have here, it's a matter of when, not if, that we're going to see a serious meltdown of the Bambu Lab A1. This is PrintFix Friday. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. You're new here, my name's Grant, this is 3D Musketeers and PrintFix Friday, where we help you get your printers back to printing with purpose. But every now and then we like to take these episodes and turn them more into a bit of a public safety announcement. We've been tracking the Bambu Lab A1 power distribution board fires for months now. We have almost 70 reported cases that we can, at least most of them, still link to publicly. What occurs is that on this board, there is an NTC thermistor. The one on this board has already melted and burned itself, but it's supposed to be right there. Those NTC thermistors are used to suppress inrush current from the machine. So when you heat it up, whether that is the heat bed, the hot end, whatever, this NTC thermistor gets hot as a way to mitigate that inrush current and keep the machine from melting itself down. It's archaic, but it works. Well, at least it should. The NTC thermistors from Bambu, according to the specs that we can find, are YINT, Y-I-N-T, 5D-15 NTC thermistors. They are rated for an operational temperature of 200 degrees Celsius, which, as we can tell from the fact that I have multiple burn boards in hand from both 110 volt and 240 volt areas, that unfortunately, they don't always last. What's more concerning is that the pieces around them are absolutely not rated for it. In fact, you can see what looks like a relay. I'm actually not certain what it is. Could be a capacitor. You can see that black box right there is melted on the side. And this varistor or ceramic capacitor, this blue thing here at the end, it too has scorch marks. Now, so far, we've gotten lucky. The Bambu Lab A1 machine is made out of fire retardant plastic, or at least Bambu Lab claims it is. And so far, it appears to live up to those standards. But we have seen multiple cases where the case themselves have had holes burned into them. And while yes, unless the machine is sitting on something that is quite flammable, the likelihood of it causing a serious fire is pretty low, but it's not zero. We thought for many months now that this is a fluke, potentially a supply issue caused a batch of them to be replaced with different ones. Maybe those are more sensitive. But we have 3 Bambu Lab A1 machines in the shop. And as you can see, we'll card to the live stream, we tested each of them. And within 30 seconds, these boards, with the NTC thermistor that is missing on this burned board, got to over 140 Celsius and stayed there until the machine reached temperature. And again, while that is within spec of the NTC thermistor, nothing around it is capable. And you're running very, very close to that limit. We saw them get to 150, one of them got near 160, and then the machines did end up reaching operational temperature under less than ideal circumstances. So not in a hot garage in Florida, but maybe in a cold basement in Michigan. Those heat up times are going to take a lot longer than what we see here. But to really illustrate this, let me show you guys what it looks like on the machines themselves. Out here, you'll see the 3 A1s that we've been working on to repair. This one likely has a bad stepper motor on the extruder. That's already on order. But these 2, we got running perfectly fine. Upon further inspection of the machines, which does involve turning the machines on their sides, we can pull off about, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws, pull away this panel, and then use a thermal camera inside of this. And the only reason that we did this in the first place was because I wanted to see how long it took for the build plates themselves to actually come to temperature and get even. We know that the Bambu Lab heaters on the build plates are more like a heater for your oven, so it does take them a while to get even. But I had noticed on the bottom of the machine there was a hot spot. These 3 machines are owned by 2 people, and they have different ages, with this machine here being over 2 years old. I believe this was like an early launch machine that did end up getting the replacement bed connector. We have this one here that's
about 6 months to a year, I'm told, and this one is a little bit over a year. The likelihood of having 3 machines with this same problem, where you are going well above the rated temperatures of the surrounding components without any way to cool it, is a statistical impossibility. The statistical wonder! The further concern that we have is that Bambu is aware of this. In fact, we know Bambu is aware of this because they came up to us at Formnext and discussed it with us. We were not allowed to record it as per their request, but multiple Bambu Lab employees came up to us to discuss this actual issue, saying that Bambu takes these issues very seriously. And I said, prove it. Because they haven't. My issue here is that we have well over 5 dozen of these that have been on the verge of creating further issues. Let's say these were on something that was flammable. There becomes a non-zero chance that these machines create serious risk to house, home, and personnel inside of that facility as well. And their outright dismissive nature of this and unwillingness to comment about it publicly is something that really sets me off the wrong way. This isn't about whose brand is better. I don't care. In fact, I really like these machines. But that power distribution board really feels like just a little bit of a value engineered option that could have and has been done significantly better by other brands for decades. The Bambu A1 is no stranger to having fire hazard risks. In fact, this would be its second noted fire hazard risk. The first one being the bed cable that if you tilted the machine backwards would actually start to stress, fail, arc, and spark. And their initial fix for it was a 3D printed plastic part that itself was not fire retardant, but whatever. And that ended up in a recall, an official recall on these machines. I believe it's time for recall number 2. It only takes one thing to go wrong, and we have something that is a much larger issue. I really like these machines. I think they can fit very well as a budget option, especially with that AMS light. It adds a lot of ability to a machine of a sub $500 price class, but with a glaring issue that is absolutely related to safety. I'm not certain that we could ever recommend it until Bambu, 1, acknowledges the issue, but then 2, takes actual steps to solving it. Now, we've talked about this before. In fact, we'll card to previous PrintFix Fridays where we've mentioned this issue, and the fact that we are collecting dead boards so we can get them sent off to a testing facility to have them analyzed as to how and why they actually failed. So if you have an A1, or the P1S has a few of these issues as well, if you have either one of the machines because they use the same boards and are dealing with this problem and have that dead board still, please reach out to us. We will cover all associated costs with getting it in our hands, no matter where you are in the world. Then that way we can bulk ship it to the testing facility and have it tested. We have also sent emails to Gamers Nexus, Lewis Rossman, and a couple of other content creators to see if they would like to assist us in getting this done. Their method of testing is well defined, understood, and respected in the industry, and quite frankly, they know the way to go about this without getting heavily sued. I don't necessarily know that just yet, but I'm willing to learn. I want this hobby to be something that we don't have to worry about whether or not your machines are going to catch fire. And with that being said, my personal and professional opinion is that you should not, under any circumstances, operate a Bambu Lab A1 unattended. Even further, I highly recommend that you do not operate Bambu Lab A1s, period, until this issue gets resolved. If you must, for whatever reason, continue to operate these machines, please go out to your local hardware store. I don't care which one, it doesn't matter. And get a concrete paver stone, it at least is the size of the machine, and put the machine on that. Concrete doesn't really burn. I mean, eventually it does, but we're not at those temperatures. What can be done to solve this though, right? PrintFix Friday is all about solving problems. There's an easy one. We can simply change the firmware. Bambu can push a firmware update that limits the amount of current that these machines can draw, which will lower the inrush current, which will lower the temperature. The issue that we run into is that these 5D-15 NTC thermistors are only rated for 6 watts of heat. On 110 volts, they're dissipating roughly 5.9 watts worth of heat, because the inrush current is roughly 5.9 amps, as measured by us and others as well. They're within 0.1 watt of their rated dissipation before they are beyond their rated limit. And you might think, well, Grant, that's safe enough. Certainly, we have sent men to the moon with less safety involved. Fair. The problem is, you don't have a good handle on what your voltage is. Again, a firmware change could absolutely solve this, but that means your machines are going to heat up slower and likely have a harder time maintaining bed temperature. We recognize that the heat issue is mostly surrounding the bed. The hot end itself does not really use anywhere near as much wattage. You're talking 40 to 50, maybe 60 watts at the most in the hot end. The bed is using hundreds of watts. It's a completely different story. But when you combine the two together, they can add up to be a real number that starts to get scary. But what else can we do? If you happen to live in the UK, in the EU, or in a 240 volt country and have access to a thermal imaging camera, even like this M256 cheap one, which we'll link to in the description. It's like sub 150 bucks, which is a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but for a thermal camera that's decently accurate, it's pretty good. If you don't mind, we would love to get some photos, both of the plastic cover before you peel it out, and then of the part inside as your machine is heating. Once the machine gets to operational temperature, the heat does cool down because now that part is no longer being used. But we want to collect as much data as possible, because ultimately this is about holding companies accountable. The same way that we bought this thermal camera because of Cheedy and the huge +4 issues that they had, which we'll card to, where their machines were literally getting to well over operational temperature, well over 150 degrees Celsius, and that's when we stopped our testing. These machines are experiencing similar failures, in my professional opinion. If you would like to assist, we ask that as you see these failures, you tag us. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, it doesn't matter. Tag us. And if you don't know, email it to us. We want to collect as much data as we can, because understanding the situations in which these machines are failing can help us better determine what the cause of failure is. We know the NTC thermistor is failing. If we can understand why, we can determine, can it be solved permanently with a firmware fix, or does this actually require a hardware level solution? If your machine has already experienced this issue and it is still under warranty, send it back. Unless you are a certified electrician, please do not mess with mains wiring. I understand that many of us are very comfortable doing it, myself included. Your insurance provider, though, will not be comfortable with you doing it. And if that part fails again and creates a major fire, they're going to look at who modified the machine, and that person was you. It is within your best interest to stop using these machines. Before you finish your comments calling us FUDs and fearmongers and shills for various other brands, realize we're not. Find me a major issue on current machines from other brands, and I'll be calling them out too. I don't care. It's not about the relationship.
It's about sending a message.
What you should be looking at is the fact that this is a known problem. And I know that other creators have known about it, because I've personally told them. And the fact that they have remained silent, maybe you should consider, why did they remain silent for this and they didn't remain silent for the Cheedy Tech issue? The way that I look at it, we are all in this together. And we have to make sure that when we're buying machines that on the surface are amazing, they're blazing fast, they make beautiful parts, even with no tuning, like cleaned it up, got it put back together, ran the part looks pretty damn good, needs a little bit of tuning, but that's fine. It wasn't set to use that material anyways. They make great parts out of the box, and quite frankly, the out-of-box experience is really nice. It takes you less than 20 minutes to get this thing assembled and printing, even with barely reading the assembly instructions. I would know. I did one a couple of days ago. I have reasonable confidence to say that it is a matter of time before we see house fires from these machines. Whether it's the user's fault or not, eyes are on Bambu for this. So Bambu, I need you to do something about this. You guys have built tremendous machines. Engineering to the nines, often well beyond what I think is even remotely necessary for engineering, but I appreciate the hell out of it, because it means that you all have risen the bar for what has been a requirement in this industry for a consumer level 3D printer. And that is amazing. I love the fact that Bambu has sent this community into a renaissance. But this kind of shit, it doesn't fly in my book. I can't look past a health issue because the company has done amazing things. It doesn't matter. If the brands are choosing to remain silent about it, somebody with a voice has to say something. And I am happy to be that person, and we are happy to be that channel. Because no matter what, we will always fight for you, the consumer, and making sure that your machines are as safe as humanly possible. Because you shouldn't have to worry that if you were gone, are you gonna come back to the fire department, a damaged machine, or is everything going to be just fine? Maybe you have a print failure or two. But hey, that's what we're here for at PrintFixFriday. If you do have issues with your machines and you want to get them back to printing with purpose, you can reach out to us. All of our social media tags are on screen, linked down below as well. And you can even make a video, post it to YouTube, and tag us in that description. We get notified of that. It's a cool feature that YouTube lets us do. But if you do like videos like this and understand that this is going to get us blacklisted for more companies, if you don't mind, leave a like, get subscribed. And I think there's a hype thing now that is a thing with YouTube videos. I don't really understand how that works, but hype go up, bigger number go up, bigger number better? I don't know. I'm gonna go sit down again, and let's wrap this one up right.
Once Bambu solves this, there will be a pinned comment, and we will update the description to let people know that whether it's firmware, hardware, whatever, we will let you know when it is safe again to use your machines. We don't want to see people have more issues with broken printers and potentially losses of property, life, pets, whatever it may be. We don't want to see that happen. And again, this isn't about a brand. This is just about making sure that everybody stays safe. That's part of our mantra. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, a huge thank you goes out to the Patreons and YouTube channel members' names are listed right next to me. If you do want to support the kind of work that we do here, you know where those links are in that description. Click them if you don't mind and support. And hey, $10 a month, you get to come hang out in our private Discord server where you've known about this for a very long time. As always, keep making awesome. Happy holidays.